I wanted to make a post about why things feel a bit different this Christmas. And I don't know about you, but it just doesn't feel the same. A lot has happened in the last couple of years that kind of changed the dynamics of the country. I recently made a video about how much money the government takes in income tax per year. And it roughly worked out to be about 1.1 trillion, according to my research done on ChatGPT. And would you believe, before I can get my head around thinking about why for me Christmas feels a bit different, I just want to address these people who have come on the comments just pointing the fingers at the migrants and how much we spend in foreign aid and stuff. For many young people, they're going to be living at home a hell of a lot longer than previous generations because the cost of saving up for a mortgage to buy their own place just seems unachievable. Cost of rent has gone through the roof, energy prices, the cost of keeping your house warm. And I guess for most people, those are the things that impact the joy of Christmas. You're trying to get excited about Christmas when mum and dad are worried about what it costs to keep the heating on. With the kids being at home, you're going to have to keep the house warm. And what does it cost to have the central heating on all day to keep the kids warm? Is there going to be enough food to feed them, while they're off school? It's things like that we as a people, we as a country need to think about and address. And no matter what your circumstances are, whether you want to blame the migrants, expenditure on foreign aid, for most of us, we're better off than most people around the world when you come to think about it. And how sometimes we have this tendency to just forget to be grateful for what we do have. In this country, you never have to worry about your safety per se, because we never had civil war in this country. A lot of us have no idea of what it means to go hungry, to not have anything to eat for weeks. You can always find fresh drinking water, no matter how poor you may feel, or no matter how forgotten you may feel. In this country, we've got no idea of what it means to live in a world or to live in a country where you don't have freedom of speech. Well, so-called freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. You can go down to the pub and say whatever you like without fear of someone arresting you and locking you up for years, taking you away from your family. You don't have that worry. And if we're going to blame the migrants, when it came to Brexit, a lot of the people who are complaining about the migrants are the same people who voted for Brexit. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, that's a game changer. The cost of exporting goods, importing goods, there's a lot of uncertainty there. There's so much more paperwork and so many more things to now consider, which will affect the price of everything. And if we're going to blame the migrants, so we're talking about the cost of keeping them in hotels, the cost of giving them benefits, they're taking our jobs apparently. I just don't get it. I'm just keen to get a better understanding from those people who believe that it's the migrants that are the problems that we're facing in this country. And I'm open to it. And I just want to have a respectful conversation about it without being called an idiot or naive and people telling me to shut that hole in my mouth. I just want to come on. If I was to sit down in a pub with you and have a genuine conversation and just say, listen, why do you blame the migrants for all of our problems? Our lives have changed dramatically. Technology has changed our lives. We're all shopping online. And I'm sure you shop online. People jump on Amazon, Temu, TikTok shop, all the various online deals that you can get. How do you think those items get from the online supplier to your house? Do you think it's British people who are out there on those bikes or in those vans delivering those parcels? The next time you get a parcel, honestly ask yourself, what was the nationality of the person who dropped that parcel to your door? Let's be fair, the people who are going to be looking after grandma, if you can't get there, are likely to be a care worker or someone working for social services who's likely to be someone who wasn't born in this country. When you order that takeaway off of Just Eat or Uber Eats or whatever it is you use, it's likely to be someone who wasn't born in this country who's delivering that hot food to your door. But if we was to decree that all non-British born people were to be sent back to wherever they came from, or we ship them off all to Rwanda or we put them back on the boat they came in. Are those same people who want them out going to jump into and fill their shoes and do the jobs that they were doing? Are you ready to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go and clean a hospital toilet? I doubt it. So I'm like, come on, let's have a bit more of a sophisticated conversation about it. Let's be honest and say to ourselves, what is the problem? There's enough room in this country for us all to live together peacefully, because everybody has some value to add, so that we can all enjoy a more comfortable, convenient way of life. The salaries that these people earn, are you ready to do the job that they do for the money that they make? The likelihood is no. So what do you really want? You want to live in a place where everybody looks like you? You're in the queue at the supermarket and you're surrounded by people who don't look like you, who speak languages that you don't understand. It can feel like you becoming a minority. And I get that. I genuinely get that, because I went to school in the 80s and 90s, and our playground was full of different coloured kids. The football teams are full of different coloured people. The football team that you support, how would that affect you directly if everybody who was not born in this country was deported? If that's what you want to see happen. And I get it. It can be very frustrating to love your country and yet you feel it's changing around you. But the world is changing. I don't know about you, but I was raised in the 80s and 90s when I went to school in the UK. And there used to be this buzz of excitement. For me, it was about buying the Christmas edition of the Radio Times or the TV Times, and you'd be looking at all the stuff that's coming on TV, or the movies that you couldn't get to see in the cinema. They'd be coming on TV over Christmas. Nowadays, it's changed. When was the last time you bought the Radio Times or, the pull-out section of the newspaper with all the TV schedules? I think one of the beautiful things about this country is that we're so generous and open. It only just takes a few just to spoil it. They just very bitter. And that's how it comes across. And if you have a genuine point to make about the migrant problem, instead of being abusive and narrow-minded about it, let's change the narrative. Let's move on. If you're going to point the finger, put some clothes on your argument. Otherwise you just sound like a hooligan standing in the stands, chanting, butt naked, saying, "Get the foreigners out." You got to put some clothes on your argument. And I know anybody that comes out and says anything about migrants or foreigners, you're immediately labeled a racist. That's not fair. Just because a person's not able to articulate their argument and they're using a trigger word like migrants or foreigners, that doesn't immediately make you a racist. It's more about how they're feeling. In order to identify who they're talking about, they use words like the migrants, and they use words like the foreigners and foreign aid and stuff like that. And then the rest of us just look at them like, oh yeah, he's definitely a racist. But that's not true. Because to be a racist, you need to have power to deny other people their human rights. And I think a lot of those people who are directing their frustration at the migrants, they're doing it because that's how they feel. And we've just got to accept that that's how they feel, and they have a right to be heard. I would just say, let's move the conversation on about what the solution looks like. And it's not about closing our doors, and it's not about deporting all of them, and it's not about stopping foreign aid. The solution is more about what we need to do to make British-born people feel heard. No different to a Premier League football team who take all of the diverse players in that team, all of their skills and attributes, and they come together. It's half time and we're down 2-0, and they bring on a player who wasn't born in this country, and he makes a pass, and the British-born player is able to score the goal, for example, and we all just go nuts. That's where we get the win. If we do it that way, by passing the ball between us, regardless where we come from, and score the goal, that's how we get ahead. It's not about blaming that one player who missed the penalty, who happened to not be from this country, and then all of a sudden it's the migrants' fault. And the problem at the heart of it is that people don't feel heard because they get labelled if they say something. And if this message does resonate with you on any level, I try to read as many of the comments that get posted, and I learn so much from what other people say in the comments. So I really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this one.